Bradley Bergstrom, aka Frosty, is a two-time Halo World Champion, voted MVP of Halo 5 in 2018, and a main slayer on Team Sentinels, a roster who, next to Final Boss, are considered to be the most dominant in the franchise's history. So basically what I'm saying is he's pretty good at Halo.
Flag carrier, and then also kills another player. Look at this Frosty with a double.
We're going to start off from the point of view from Frosty, and he's going to hit a nice headshot here on spawn, and gets the double.
No
the triple
way.
from Frosty. Mighty overkill. Control of the rocket launcher, but has used both of the weapons. Frosty ends the game with a disgusting no-scope. Frosty, you animal.
Today, we're going to break down a full match of Halo Infinite PvP played by Frosty. This is Slayer on Recharge, and the format is simple. We're going to play his first life till he dies, come back, break it down, play the next life, come back, break it down, and so on straight through to the end of the game. In each life, I'll be breaking down and critiquing many aspects of Frosty's gameplay, while also including my own perspectives and ideas to help further your gameplay when we finally get to play it again. This also means that this will be a very long video with a lot of information. So to help make things easier, check the play bar. I've organized everything there. You can click around if you need to. If you're looking to get ahead of the curve in Halo Infinite, even before this game comes out, well then you click the right video. And while you're at it, feel free to click the sub button as well and join me on the way. We just recently hit 20,000. You guys are killing it. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Buckle up. The ride's only just getting started here. All the new viewers brought us back down to 25% of you subs. So let's get that back up. Let's keep crushing milestones and prepare ourselves for the real grind later this fall.
Outkill your opponents and claim victory.
Okay, first life, let's talk spawns. This map, of course, is asymmetrical, so Frosty and team, they spawn in the elevator, the enemy team spawns over in the long haul. Now, because of the way this map is laid out, the enemy team has a faster and more direct route to the OS. They also have a perfect ramp leading to bottom mid to slide off of, whereas Frosty and team, they have access to immediate high ground. So because of this, I think that as Frosty is slide jumping here, he could consider pre-nading the OS in bottom mid. It's a bit of a gamble, but if it hits, he gets some good info and he might be helping out a teammate below him. Most importantly though, Frosty's objective here is to beeline directly to the commando. So he sprints for it, doesn't check his left-hand side, does take some shots in the back before he gets there. Just a note to keep in mind, the enemy team can get to this door pretty quickly, so another spot to consider either checking or pre-nading off the opening. Frosty though, to turn after being shot would put him at a disadvantage, so he's going to stick with his game plan. Take a look at the placement of his reticle as well. He's already setting up his reticle to toss a pre-nade as he grabs the commando. So very efficient play. Of course, this is going to land on the opposite commando. Highly likely at least one player is going to go for this gun off the opening. By doing this, he could give himself an opportunity to clean up a quick kill or maybe buy him some time as he drops out of the window one shot. By dropping here, he is of course very exposed with very few options and not much info on where players are. So he'll drop the bottom mid, spots OS. I respect the attempt to try to sneak up on OS here and get the backsmack, but ultimately once he's seen, there's not much he can do. He's pretty screwed. Now, there's one play I've been thinking, and something I expect to see a lot of in competitive. That doorway above has a sneaky ledge on the outside of it. If he shimmied out there and stood there briefly, that would have been such a slick way to maintain high ground and get back in the fight and throw off his opponent. You can see on the radar, he's got teammates near him, and those teammates could distract while he does this, but ultimately this wouldn't have guaranteed his safety. I just think it's a useful spot to keep in mind in situations like this.
We've lost a teammate.
Enemies on me. Shields are down.
The first thing you want to do off spawn in Halo is assess the situation. How many teammates do you have up and where are they? You can see he's got two teammates in front of him. One is about to die. So now there's 2 X's in front of him and this one teammate here. Now, he could join this teammate, but they don't have any map control, and his entire right side is completely open to a pinch on his spawn. So I like Frosty's decision to go right here instead. By expanding out in the perimeter, he's creating space on the map for his teammates who spawn to work within. Now, you can see he's going down the ramp here, doesn't have his reticle placed for this gunfight, so he wasn't expecting a player to be here this quickly, but his reaction to the situation was flawless. Slides into the fight here, does whiff the first shot, but once he snaps on, his aim is very steady. Thankfully, his opponent is whiffing quite a bit here as well, so comes in with full confidence, barely using the right stick here, just the left stick to lead the shots, and then you can see a very tiny movement on the right stick to chase the opponent as he goes around the corner. He's going to toss a nade here, and watch the position of this toss. He's purposefully throwing this nade deep into the hallway behind this player. He's not trying to kill him with the nade, he's trying to cut off his options with this nade. If this player tries to run, that nade's going to kill him. If he doesn't run and he goes for the challenge, that's what Frosty wants. You can see he's got a huge shield advantage. When the guy comes forward, easy cleanup with the AR here. And this is a good example of the AR's effectiveness in competitive. It's a bit of a tangent, but in my ADS video last week, I had a handful of comments saying they'd like to see automatics tuned in a way that makes them viable in competitive play, which is a viewpoint that I can empathize with. I'd like to see more sandbox diversity in competitive Halo. My biggest issue, though, is that automatic weapons, regardless of how strong or weak they are, just by design, they're easier to use than precision weapons. And I'm not saying that if Frosty used the sidekick instead of the assault rifle in this situation, it would have gone any differently. Frosty still would have got the kill. It just would have been a tiny bit harder. And that tiny bit of extra difficulty adds a window of outplayability that simply doesn't exist with automatics in play. So it's an interesting topic. If you have any creative ideas on how to bring automatics into competitive without hurting the skill gap, let me know in the comments. All right, back to it. Frosty's going to get the kill here. Picks up the grapple on his right. Take a look at the kill feed. 2 enemies down right now. He's going to lose 1 teammate, but his teammates are spawning. Notice how him getting this kill actually opens up a spawn point on his right-hand side for his teammates. So now he's got a perimeter on the right side. He's got a teammate on his left that you can see on the radar as well. So 3v2 right now. Frosty's a middle player. Because of this, pushing down center map might not be a bad idea. And he's doing this with a very careful placement of the grapple. Nice high placement here to ensure he flies in the door without bumping anything, flies into a player, gets a nice convenient double beatdown. Perfect example of the power of the grapple in this game is just you can fly into engagement so quickly as the opponent, it's difficult to react in time to turn a situation around. So good use of grapple there. Players down right now, commotion in center map. Frosty's going to come back. He's also got an enemy on his radar, so as he comes back, he knows exactly where to look to clean up this kill. Going to sprint jump to clear this gap while he reloads to get back to center. So 2 enemies down, the other 2 are spawning up. Frosty looks back at this tower. He's got 2 teammates here, enemy gunfire coming from the left-hand side, so head on a swivel. I'm not much of an Apex player myself, but I do know that as a Pathfinder, if you want a nice pop-off with the grapple, you want to time a jump the moment the grapple connects with the wall, which I think this is what Frosty's trying to do. Looks like he's jumping a tiny bit early, but Halo has a very floaty jump, so this works flawlessly. What it does is sends him on an upward arc using this wall to block the sight line as he goes over into the hallway here. So there is one player on the left-hand side he completely avoided, but check his radar. He very quickly spots a player on his radar beside him, and watch his beautiful reaction to the situation. He turns around, crouches in the corner, blocks the sight line with the wall behind him, and this is such a great way to take this fight, turning a disadvantage into an advantage here. He'll come out with a quick jump and a very aggressive attack to throw this player off, get the melee in, get the kill, picks up the commando, going to spin around one more time here, gets a little aggressive and taken down. Great attempt, honestly. The player who killed him was Wishful right here. So he kills Wishful, 8-second spawn timer. Your enemy is going to spawn in the perimeter of the map as far away as possible from you and your teammates. So Frosty right now is getting this kill. He does have a teammate below him who would serve as a distraction, but right now as he peeks back in, you'll see that he has 1 teammate dead, another one, quality's not that great, but another one over on the right somewhere in the hallway blocking that side of the map. So very likely the elevator spawn point is open, and that's where Wishful spawned up. So risky for Frosty to come out here, gets cleaned up. He plays this high ground perfectly, though, despite that. The only thing I'm thinking, though, is what if he banked a nade off of this corner. Like, that is a juicy looking corner. I feel like a nade would go straight down if you hit it. So something to think about in the future.
Take cover!
Boom. AK-78 obtained.
Spartan down!
Enemies on me. Reload. Overshoot inbound.
Gain the lead.
Stay mobile. Taking fire.
Another one down!
Now this time off of spawn, Frosty has all three of his teammates directly in front of him in close proximity. Notice how he sprints to follow them and then 180s, changes his mind, says screw it, not going that way. I like this play. If he bunches up with his teammates and they hold the same angles, the enemy team can surround and collapse on them. So expanding makes sense. He could go down this left side hallway, but if he does that, he'd isolate himself too much from the team and they wouldn't be able to work together. So this play down center is so smart. In Halo, we call this a 3-1. When you're taking advantage of your three teammates as a distraction to make a low presence play, a low presence flank in this case. Now Frosty, he whiffs the clamber here. Perfect example of the shortened clamber range in Halo Infinite. This would have worked in Halo 5, but in Halo Infinite, you just got to be a little bit more precise. I think this little ledge jutting out is just there to throw you off as well, but he'll clamber up on the second time. This is a perfect example. This enemy distracted by the players in the tower. Frosty can get a free kill with the pre-nades in here, clean him up with a second nade. He'll jump up top, and by doing this, opens up a team spawn right in front of him. This team spawn is a good indication there's no more enemies nearby here, so he'll quickly grab the commando and immediately spin around and just rotate out. He's got two teammates up, one here and one in this corner that he can help out. Also, there's a grapple over in the corner that he's going to rotate to. Now, I've been looking for areas to use the curb slide technique to launch around, and this is a perfect one, actually. This yellow podium, if you stand on top of it and sprint and time a slide off it, you can launch off of it. So Frosty could actually use this to rotate faster to grapple, and that might have allowed him to get the angle over on the corner here in time to finish off this kill that his teammate was in a fight with. We don't know where this player went, but he's left this area now, and you can see two dead on the feed. Not a big deal for Frosty, though. He'll get the grapple, stick with the lane that he's on, spots a player, actually, who's not looking in this doorway. So I love his approach to this doorway here. Going to play it nice and carefully. Comes in with a crouch and then a quick beat down kill. You just want to get at least, I think it's 3 or 4 shots in with the commando for a nice clean beat down, easy kill. Take a look at the kill feed here. You've got 1 dead and now 2 dead, and shortly after will be 3 enemies down and a 4v1 right now for Frosty's team. The OS is about to pop up here. He's got 2 teammates slightly behind him on his right hand side, and then another teammate up in this tower who's rotating out. So there's a good chance all 3 of the enemies will spawn up in this hallway over here. It's the farthest point, and you'll see they start to spawn there. Frosty just going to wait up on top mid here, get some info in the gunfights, uses the grapple in a very intelligent way here to swing out to get into this fight if he needs to. I was thinking he could have done one of 2 things, either do what he did or grapple the roof up here and then crouch cancel the grapple and land in this window for a more immediate angle on that fight, but doing that would commit him, so I like this grapple much more. It's way less committal. He already has 2 teammates here. There's no need for him to get so aggressive in this fight. He can get right back to mid this way and hold the angle. 2 of his teammates just died now, so they're down in numbers. Frosty gonna keep the high ground here and just wait for info. Player directly in front gets the kill, turns to his right. He's got 2 teammates in the tower and goes for a wild grapple across the map here. Might have been a little too aggressive with this grapple. The OS is just spawned up. He could pick that up for free and use the extra shields to win these fights. But I understand why he did what he did, and that's because he's got a teammate who is pushing out and drawing attention to himself with this gunfire. So perfect example of when to go for a wild grapple like this is the moment that your teammates are coming in with a distraction. So I get the idea. He takes a lot of damage doing this though, puts in some good shots of his own, and then suddenly dies here to a nade. If we look at this frame by frame, you'll see that he actually got Instasploded here. An opponent threw a plasma, and here's the plasma nade, kind of hard to see, but the explosion set off this plasma to blow up right in his face. And of course, Instasploding is when you combine a plasma nade toss with the explosion of either another plasma or another grenade to create a chain reaction explosion. The last time we saw this was in Halo 3, and this added a pretty cool layer to the skill gap, but at the same time, this is a nice reminder that it can also create RNG scenarios like this where nades just unintentionally explode and get kills. Either way, I didn't know this mechanic was returning in Halo Infinite, so I can't wait to try it out and can't wait to see what kinds of plays people make with it.
Gain the lead.
Enemy is below us.
Double kill.
This time off spawn, Frosty's got a teammate on his right, one in front of him, and one on his left-hand side as well. So he's spawned up as a middle player, and because of this, he can sprint straight down center. He'll spot an enemy out bottom mid who picks up OS, strafes out to put shots in, picks up a grapple off the floor as he does this. He'll make his way to center bridge, and just watch him put this play together.
Gain the lead.
Quite a tightrope act this man just performed. He jumps to the bridge, shoots one on the left, shoots one on the right, tosses a nade, and he's getting back behind cover here, but he's got a teammate right beside him. The moment he sees that, he turns around and doubles back. He's hoping that the position of his teammate is going to throw off the aim of this player in the hallway, and that's exactly what happens. He sprints across the bridge, slides at the guy, and he'll shoot and get the kill. The timing of the sprint and the slide was so specific and so risky as well. He's got a player on his right-hand side. He needs to make sure that he gets out of the line of fire of that player on the right. So he times the slide to end at the doorway to cover himself. But it's a late slide, meaning he's late to get into this fight. So really, he's gambling here. He's gambling that this player is going to miss. And this player does miss. But beautiful execution once he does start shooting, though. You'll notice he spams out the first few shots to break the shields. And then once he's done that, he paces himself on the final two to finish the player off. Just a really efficient way to manage the bloom on the sidekick and get a clean kill. Now, he's not safe yet. He separated himself from his team to make this play. So the moment he hits the floor, he's going to sprint out of here immediately, takes a couple shots as he narrowly stays alive here, gets behind the door, ends up making a good play here. He'll look down, get the kill. But quick note about this spot, there's actually a pipe on the wall behind Frosty that you can shimmy out and land on. If you sit there, you'd get a better angle and stay further out of harm's way. So Frosty, he didn't need it, but just something to keep in mind in the future. He will slide jump out and get himself a clean ninja as well. Bit of a fortunate timing here with a frontside ninja for a clean kill. Another nerdy moment to consider. You'll watch him go down the stairs, pick up the combo, and then push forward here. Miss the grapple on his right. What I'm thinking is the instant he gets this kill, jump to the ledge to his right-hand side, and then sprint, drop off, and drop slide to this grapple while grabbing the plasma pistol. He could have done both at the same time, and this is just, you know, advanced movement moment for me right here that he missed. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's going to run up to center here, use the one grapple that he has to pick up the commando. At this point, of course, multiple players are on respawn. So Frosty, as he peeks out, he's thinking spawns here. He's got a teammate across the map on this bridge. He's got one in commando, one on his right-hand side as well. So just based off of positioning, I'm thinking spawns are over on this right-hand corner of the map. This left side does seem relatively open, though, so he's looking just in case there's a split spawner as he walks through here. What he doesn't see, though, is a player on his left-hand side right here who snuck through bottom mid. So as he crosses the bridge, he gets startled by this player who's got an AR and just melts him immediately. Just another good example of why we don't see automatics in competitive. There is absolutely nothing Frosty could have done to live here. And I'm not saying that if this player had a precision weapon, it would have been any different. He probably still would have died, but it would have been harder for this player, and it would have left a tiny window of outplayability, as opposed to the automatic just shredding him immediately with no hope. Some pretty clean moves off of spawn here. He'll sprint and then crouch jump, slide off the platform, and connect that into a jump to the tower for a beatdown kill, commando grab, and then slide off to mid. Now, as clean as this was, the movement nerd in me is wondering if we could make this even cleaner. Now, there's a technique here that I think he could have used, and this is something I wasn't aware of during the flight. So, shout out to a viewer, Gold Magic, who I think found this, but he calls it vault sliding. It's a technique where you time a slide at the top of an object while you're jumping over it to launch off the top of an object. Really cool little optimization, and he might be able to use it right here, right? As he jumps up to this surface, he'd time a slide at the edge and it would send him forward at a higher speed. What I'm wondering is, would this connect him to this spot, to this peg right here, without having to hit the floor, or would he connect into a clamber without hitting the floor? Either way, it might optimize this movement just a little bit, and just another cool example of some of the slide tech in this game that we have yet to find and to optimize. Anyway, Frosty picks up the commando. He's going to rotate back to grapple here. Of course, a very important item to control. Spot checking as he does this. He's got his teammates over beside him. Because of the position of his teammates on his left here, he knows that the spot he just came from is now an open spawn point for the enemy. So aware of this, he's got his reticle placed at the top of the tower as he comes in, anticipating a spawner, but there's an enemy down below. And this enemy in the hallway is already shooting at him. Now this enemy has a clear first shot advantage and is likely scoped in on Frosty. So the way Frosty reacts to this fight is actually quite high level. He doesn't try to snap in scope on this player. If he snaps in scope, then he risks getting descoped by this player who's already shooting at him. Instead, he snaps on him in hipfire and shoots him in hipfire first and then scopes in. This is beautiful. It'll knock that player's scope off, and now he's scoping in, flipping a disadvantage into an advantage in this gunfight. That'll back this player off. Now, while Frosty is shooting this player, a second opponent spawns up in the tower on his right and knocks his scope off. It's now a 2v1, and you might be inclined to switch targets and try to shoot this other player, but that would not be a good idea. Frosty knows that in this situation, there's a good chance that the original opponent will re-challenge him, so he completely ignores this guy. He backs off to cut the angle, and look at his reticle placement, just unfazed by this other player. He's got his reticle at head level, and he's so ready for this fight that even though the opponent comes in with a crouch challenge, he still reacts, hits the shots, and gets the kill. So some very high-level habits here you want to keep in mind. Right after he gets this kill, he'll drop into the hallway, rotate through, try to flank the tower player. The tower player does the same thing, though. They meet each other in the hallway, and he dies. One thing I think he could have done to live here is use his grapple. He's got 3 grapples. If he grapples the top of this doorway, he would soar up to it. He can crouch cancel it, land in the door frame, and use the high ground for a sick outplay. Now, it would have required some crazy instincts to do this, but definitely doable, and a little skill gap that I expect to see pros take advantage of the more they play this game.
Power items inbound. Power items now available. Overcharging shield.
Interesting spawn. Everyone is very spread out on the map. Frosty's just going to go straight through center. OS about to come up here, gets a couple shots into the enemy, loses 2 teammates though. It's now a 3v2 for the enemy. He'll check bottom mid and then spots a player in center map, and great use of this teammate on his right hand side. He knows he's here, so Frosty with this challenge is going to go full aggro. He walks out and jumps at the guy and spams the sidekick the entire time. He's not worried about pacing his shot here because he knows he's going to get that team help. So just comes in, spams it the whole time. Team help comes in, clean kill. Nice little windmill here at a Frosty as well. Pretty uncharacteristic for him, but just a good example of the lack of aim assist on this gun. It's already very low aim assist to begin with. From this range, he's got nothing. Right now, he's got his reticle placed on this doorway, anticipating a challenge from here, but a player ends up coming up on this higher platform. So he reacts to it and kind of spins the reticle. Even though this happens, though, look how he tries to stabilize himself and actually almost hits that shot despite the loss of control there. So really good example of just how quick he is to regain himself in situations like this. He's now waiting on OS. He's got two teammates in front of him, one on his left-hand side, and he knows there's enemies on the right, and the spawns are open there as well, but gets startled by a split spawner coming out of elevator side here, and honestly reacts in the best possible way he could have. Drops off the box, jumps backwards, and then jumps a second time. Great way to be a hard target, but to also make it so difficult for this player to land the finishing headshot. He's cutting the sight line with the bridge by doing this. So really great movement here. Going to pick up the OS. This is going to get him a free kill on this player in front of him. He'll spam the sidekick out to break the shields and then pace himself for the last couple shots. Great way to use the weapon. He'll now rotate over to grapple. Makes nice use of the drop slide here as well. Sprint, jump, hold crouch in the air, land, and slide. Just misses the grapple, actually. I wasn't aware of this during the flight, but I'm sure many of you are now. You can tell how long it'll take till the next grapple spawns just by looking at the platform. If the blue line here completely fills up, the grapple will spawn, meaning this grapple is literally just about to spawn. He's like a second too early, so he walks off the instant before it spawns. This works not only for the grapple, but for all weapons. There's an indicator that tells you how long till it spawns, so something to keep in mind. While he's making this rotation, also, of course, multiple enemies coming up on spawn here. You can tell by the position of his teammates, one on his right, one across the map on his left, one below. This corner of the map is open for a spawn point, so he knows to just fly out here. Players coming off a spawn, gets what I think might be one of the first infinite blanks I've seen here, and it throws him off. This shot looks like it hits, right? You get like a yellow kind of indication like it hit, but there's no hit marker. So I guess it just didn't officially connect. There's two in a row actually here. So breaks the shields, fires a second shot, which this could have missed because of bloom, let's say. It's just that final shot right here, coupled with the little bit of yellow smoke that throws him off. He looks away and then switches to assault rifle, does get the kill, but dies in the process. By the way, what the heck is going on when he dies here? Look at this. They gotta up the rating on this game, man. That's just inappropriate.
Take cover!
At this point in the game, players are dropping left and right. Frosty just traded with one. You've got multiple dying in the kill feed here on both teams, so not too many bodies on the map when Frosty spawns here. He's going to take advantage of the timing to just cut straight through center, try to get to Commando once again, and at this point, I'm thinking he could take a shortcut to get to Commando. There's boxes beside him he can jump off and then jump a second time to get there quickly, but instead he takes this long route, and I love this play. It allows him to contribute to multiple fights with spawners at the same time here. Such efficient use of his nades and his movement here. He'll sprint up the staircase, look to his right, and then slide and toss a nade at the same time. This is actually quite a precise nade. Just judging by where it looks like he's tossed it here, it looks like it's going to bounce off the floor between the doorway and then blow up in the staircase below, which is a perfect spot to cut off a player on a challenge. The only other nade I could think of would be to maybe bounce it off the door frame and have it blow up on the right side of the door, depending on where you predict that player to be, but really efficient nade, and efficient way to throw it during the slide to then turn and then look at this second nade. As he grabs the Commando, he's going to throw an advance nade in front of this player. He spots one, of course, coming up through center. You got a player, terrible quality, but you got a player walking up through center here. He knows he's going to continue on this trajectory, so he throws a nade in advance of the player, and even though the nade doesn't hit this player, it's just something that's great to get in the habit of in situations like this. You want to have that foresight. The moment he gets this kill, that's two dead on the feed. They got a numbers advantage, so he'll drop off the tower, rotate over to elevator to collapse on the last two players. He runs into an interesting dilemma with these two players. He got damage into the first one who backed off, takes the shields off the second who gets behind cover. He's got no nades in this situation, so I imagine the dilemma in his mind is either he drops down quickly to try to finish this kill, but does so at the risk of that player who left coming back and re-challenging him, or he just goes upstairs, gets his shields back, and leaves the player altogether, which obviously would not be ideal. So he takes option one. He drops down immediately, goes for the kill, but of course the other player comes back, finishes him off. Now, a third option I was thinking, and this option, of course, is easier to notice in hindsight, but good for us to keep in mind if we end up in this situation. When Frosty gets this player to no shields, you'll see, you can actually see a little bit of him behind the pole here. If he just did a hard strafe to the left, I think he could have shot him through the stairs and got the kill, which would have been slick and a really big brain play. But once again, easy to notice it after the fact, something that we could try if we're in this situation again.
Nearing victory.
Frosty is just going to barrel down center off spawn here. He's got two teammates on his right side, nobody on his left. So this is very aggressive and a little risky as well, mainly because there's two potentially open spawn points here. There's one on his right side in the corner and one on the left corner at the elevator as well that are potentially open right now. Despite it, he gets a nice sneak attack on this player below. Good example of the effectiveness of the AR. Once again, nice quick AR beatdown. Because he's in center here and because he doesn't know where the last two players are, you'll notice he's got two dead on the feet, so two players on spawn. Not sure where the remaining two are. Look how efficiently he checks all the spots as he moves through this area. He'll sprint, jump, check his right, go up the stairs, check the right doorway as he flies through, pick up the commando, and then looks down at the floor to check the flank through bottom mid. So you can see how efficiently he's just checking every spot just to make sure he doesn't miss anything. He gets info on where these players could be. Now, the irony of all of this is despite the efficiency, he doesn't spot this player right below him, interestingly enough. And I thought at first he might have seen him, but the reason why I don't think he did is because as he comes back into this fight, his reticle is not placed for this. Had he been ready for this fight, his reticle would have already been pointed at this player to take it. Now, despite the fact that he's not prepared, watch how he somehow weasels his way out of this fight. Instead of backing off, this man's got no fear. He goes straight in with the beatdown, and I don't know if it's just the speed of the lunge that throws off the player beside him, but somehow the dude beside him whiffs. He drops down to the floor, immediately sprints out, gets into the door frame. Right now, two enemy players are dead. He's got info on the third player behind him, and not quite sure where the fourth is, but he's got a bit of time to be out in a risky position like this, and he's facing away from the player. He's ready to ninja in the outside of this door. So nice cheeky little setup here. I love it. Now the one thing I'm thinking that he could have done to bring this to the next level is go for the skill jump. I think he had a little bit of time to try to hit the skill jump to get back up top and sneak up on this player above. Great way to get back to high ground, and there's a variety of ways to use that jump. Now Frosty instead goes for the challenge here. He does end up dying. As he comes back into the tower, he's got a teammate beside him on his left who I'm sure he thought would help in this situation, but we'll see. He'll jump to the box on his right and reload at the same time. Very risky reload. Probably should have done this earlier outside the door because now he's stuck in the animation and he gets shot for free in this fight. Despite being at a disadvantage, jumps back to the box here. So also very risky. I get the intention. He wants to throw off the pre-aim of this player above, but this player throws a nice nade, banks it off the floor, blows up beside him. He dies almost instantly. I think another reason why he was so aggressive is because he thought his teammate would help. You can see on the radar here his teammate's icon, and just watch how he completely walks out of this situation, oblivious to it. Somehow the teammate has no idea this is happening, and if you played enough solo queue, you'd know not to be surprised by stuff like this.
Overshield inbound. Overshield available.
Last life in the game, Frosty and team have a massive advantage at this point. There's three teammates on the right side, drops down to center. We're going to take this fight and rotate out to the left perimeter here. Look for grapple once again that's not up. Multiple players just died. There's 4 players that went down, 2 on each side. Going to stick to his flank. The biggest thing I like about this play is Frosty never wastes advantages when he has them. This player in front hasn't seen him yet. And because of that, look how long Frosty takes to just set himself up for this gunfight and make sure he guarantees the win. He could have started shooting right away here, but doing this would just give his opponent the chance to back off or turn the situation around. By patiently waiting to fire that first shot, he not only guarantees that he hits it, but now he puts his opponent in beatdown range, and this guy's got no escape from dying in that gunfight. He'll then pick up his commando. The OS is about to spawn up. 2 players dead right now. As he pushes down this perimeter, you can tell just based off of where his teammates are that the spawn is open in this area of the map, and Frosty can now push up to get this final kill. Now, funny how I said he never wastes his advantages. He sort of wasted his advantage here, and obviously it doesn't matter. The game's over, so who cares? But this shouldn't have been a trade. He should have got this kill without trading. Only reason it happened is the combo of him jumping the moment he started the fight, expecting to hit these shots, and then his opponent reacting with a very unpredictable, like, bot strafe out of nowhere here. Just very hard to predict strafe direction that throws off his aim. But it's the combo of the fact that he jumped the moment he starts the fight here, which means that all the onus is on his right stick. He can't use his strafe to support his aim. So obviously fundamental Halo knowledge to strafe first, jump later. Anyway, that'll close out this game with a dominant 50-33 finish. No doubt due to Frosty's 22-9 KD. Not too shabby, and I know this man is only just getting started. And that does it for my first real Halo Infinite gameplay breakdown featuring Frosty's first PvP gameplay. So a lot of firsts here. Special shout out to my background, by the way. What do you guys think of this? Curious to know in the comments. Esports Arena, they made this for me, so special thanks to them. They did this way back months ago, and I didn't think to use it till today for this kind of new setup. So I think it's actually kind of cool. It's got the red versus blue vibe as well. Anyway, hopefully there was a lot of useful info you took away from this video and from watching Frosty's gameplay. There's so much you can learn from his route selection to reticle placement to, of course, accuracy or just his timings in engagements, the placement of his nades, the awareness of the map and of his teammates and how to use his teammates effectively to either distract or to make plays. A ton of stuff in the end of the day. And I'm sure for Frosty, a lot of this is just good habits and good instincts formed over years of playing the game. But I find that pointing this out and understanding it can not only help us appreciate it more, but help accelerate our learning on the grind to mastery. If you made it this far, you're a real one. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. What do you think of Halo Infinite's multiplayer and PvP so far? What do you think of the skill gap and skill gap potential? We saw some pretty cool stuff with the grapple especially, and are you excited for the competitive side of Halo Infinite, for Halo Infinite Esports? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you like this stuff and you want to see more, hit subscribe, check out related videos. I'll see you in the next one.